up, though? It is a fucking Tuesday, even though it doesn't feel like a Tuesday. But we are here. This is another episode of Knockouts at 3 Counts, and our days are switched up. Usually on Tuesdays, you get an interview. This time, we're going to talk some headlines because before we'll get to Thursday's guest when I talk a little bit about what I got into on Sunday, making another trip over to the Sanctuary to check out our friends over there at Sanctuary Fight Club and the badass G.O.D threat and past guest of the show, Karam, won him a motherfucking belt and became the first Thrash Zone champion over a past guest of the show, also in the last real man himself, Silas Young, formerly of Ring of Honor. Big win for Karam. We'll talk a little bit about Sanctuary. J-Bone finally got his fucking camera working, so here we are. We're at it again. This is part of the All Sports All Plays network. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, all that good shit. Make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to let you guys know a little bit about who we've got coming in the next couple weeks and all those good things. And as usual, if you're watching, drop in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. And if you have any thoughts on anything that comes out of my fucking mouth, feel free to chime in. In the meantime, how y'all motherfuckers doing now that J-Bone learned how to work his computer?
Hey, man, fashionably late, bro. What can I say?
Sophia, checking in from the motherfucking Canada. I appreciate you. All right, so J-Bone's got his computer working. Kathy is watching from her chair in Florida, even though it's in the 50s in this bitch. So I'm cool with the weather situation where we're at in Detroit. Sophia, I don't know what kind of weather you're getting over there in Canada, but all I know is here in Detroit, I am completely okay, other than the fact I'm not the biggest fan of all this rain and fog shit. But the 50 plus degree weather and being able to drive straight down the fucking freeway with no snow, I'll take my victories where I can get them. So
yeah, but you got to worry about all that water, right? It's supposed to get cold as hell again tomorrow. All that water on the road, you know how that shit
How about
goes,
this?
So.
Stop putting negative energy out there, Corey. Shut the fuck up. I'm not trying to hear that shit.
All I'm saying is I had.
How cold is cold and rainy, Sophia? What kind of temperatures are we talking?
Today, of dicking around outside in the cold and not necessarily cold, but rain is shit. So. Yeah, I have that outlook on today. ready to put this Tuesday in the past.
Right.
You and me both. J-Bone, how the fuck are you?
I'm all right, man. You know, I've already bit it once with the whole snow and ice thing. I was walking out of work, dude, and I fucking bit it. And I just got up, did one of those like look around things, like fuck, whatever. So, hey. They only get me once a year, though. I'm not going to slip and fall again. That's for sure.
Did anybody
sure
see
you're not going to slip and fall?
I hope not. I hope nobody's seen it. I did the whole look around thing. Like, all right, I'm good. I was all soaking wet on my side.
All right. So it's kind of like the whole "does a tree make sound in the forest" type thing. Nobody's seen it. Didn't happen. You know.
They'll probably pull it up at the Christmas party this year or something. They're going to put it on the big screen.
Hey, man. So. Everybody, at least you didn't do like I did. You want to talk about some dumb shit. We got a hill that's right down the street from our house. And this is probably even before I knew Corey and them. Maybe not. But, dude, I'll never forget. So I went, instead of going straight down the hill, we all got the bright idea to go down the side of the hill because there was a creek that was completely froze over and you could slide across that bitch. Yeah, you could slide across it until the ice starts breaking from how fat you are. And then let me tell you, you want to talk about cold. You want to talk about cold. I broke through the ice and literally it was so cold that it got to the point where I couldn't move anymore. Jeez. Like I legitimately couldn't move anymore. I had to have somebody come get my ass out because I couldn't move my legs anymore. Let me tell you, falling through the ice is not a good time. It's just not.
Not a lot of fun, man.
No, at least that was not deep water. I know said creek you are talking about. And yeah, it's not very deep. So
I didn't say it was deep. I said it's cold.
You got deep enough to get that snowsuit covered, though. I know that, especially as
I got deep enough to where my legs stopped moving. All right, like it was cold. Like I literally couldn't move my legs anymore
it
just
put your whole body in shock. You just
dude, it did. I was wrapped. Dude, you'd have thought I came out of fucking Ground Zero. They wrapped me up in like 7 fucking blankets to try to like wrap me up because I was that cold. Like, I mean, I was like, dude, that was bad. Like, it probably took me a couple hours to get back to like normal somewhat temperature. -1 and feels damp with the rain. Fuck -1. It's 54 over here. Y'all need,
Oh yeah, summertime up in here.
That's what I'm talking about. You need to keep that cold ass weather across the border. Well, you and Terrence and Phillip can have that weather, all right?
-1 in her instance, because they're talking Celsius. That's only what, like 30 degrees still, so that's not so bad for a Canadian winter.
Look, I'll still take where we're at with 54 over 30 any day. So I'm just I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying, I'm cool with where we're at. But like I said, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Since I went to Sanctuary this past Sunday, we'll talk about the wrestling end of things first. I took another trip down to the Sanctuary Fight Club with our good buddy Jerry Vagana, the man behind the camera, making me look good in them pictures and making them wrestlers look good. Well, we went down there and we saw what was going on, and we got to see past guest of the show, Karam, who I've said for a long time, how the fuck this guy hasn't been signed by a company is just mind-blowing to me. Like, I'm serious. Like, the motherfucker looks like an Arabic version of fucking Jason Momoa. And, like, I'm just saying, like, number one, because people were saying dude looked like a mermaid in the crowd. But, you had Karam just fucking tearing dudes up. And Dickie Bronson come out at the end saying he's got next against Karam. Now, Dickie, I know you love to scrap my guy, but I'm just saying you better pack a lunch because Karam is not nothing to be fucked with. I'm just saying. I've gotten to see this man's work up close and personal. And after you're done watching this said show, of course, you can head over to AEW's YouTube, All Elite Wrestling, and check him out on AEW Dark tonight as him and past guest of the show, fellow past guest of the show, Rohit Raju, fresh out of his contract with Impact. It's them two. They've got an 8-man tag. I will tell you everybody that's in it here in 1 second. But we will be joined by your new and the first ever Thrash Zone champion, fucking Karam, this Thursday. We've got a lot to talk about. We got the talk about his match on AEW Dark. We got to talk about winning the Thrash Zone title. We got to talk about him still doing stuff with the WWN and all those things. Karam is somebody to watch, not just if you're here in Michigan. If you're here in Michigan, I would guess you probably already might know who Karam is. But if you don't know, I think the more that he keeps getting around them at AEW, boy, I think it's only a matter of time until this dude gets signed. J-Bone, you've gotten to see Karam before, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts?
It could be after tonight, man. If he's going to be on Dark tonight, you never know what kind of showings he's going to put out. We might have a new AEW guy here on Thursday. That'd be nice to see, right? You never know.
Yeah, you don't. Especially, I mean, that AEW Dark, right? Like, we've had quite a few guests and stuff to this point that have performed there and stuff, and it really is a great proving ground. Even though
everybody coming into the comments, Alex, it's been a couple weeks. We will talk. You didn't watch the Saudi show. All right, so we'll give you our thoughts on Blood Money in the Sand since that went down on Saturday as well. Joey in the comments, how about that knockout by past guest of the motherfucking show, Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill? I mean, dude, he made this guy have sweet dreams. And something else that we're going to have to talk about in that knockout is, are we at about the point where they start telling Johnny Walker either shit or get off the pot yet? Because I'm just saying, dude hasn't looked too great in his last few fights, and his demeanor after that fight had a lot to had a lot to be desired. But like I said, we're going to get into the MMA end of things real quick. Since you brought it up, I will let me get through the rest of the Sanctuary card, and maybe we'll start with Blood Money in the Sand coming up. What up, Freddie? The man, the myth, the legend behind the All Sports All Plays Network. Hey, Freddie, man, you know, I've been telling them they got to make sure they hit that subscribe button, because who knows, maybe we could be bringing them some cool stuff come WrestleMania next month. So make sure, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, if you hear this on a podcast, make sure you hit that like button on there. Let them know. Leave a review if it's on Spotify and all them bitches. But now that we're back to talking a little bit about Sanctuary, you know, I've been to 2 shows now, and I'm not just saying this because I was there. I generally enjoy the vibe of Sanctuary because it's got like that underground feel to it to me.
Yeah.
They've done a good job of building from show to show, and I think that they've got like because they have the one show a month, I think it does a good job at leaving the anticipation for what's going to happen. But with that being said, I mean, we don't have a number 1 contender for our guy Karam, so maybe on Thursday I'll have to ask him who he would like to face for that Thrash Zone Challenge Championship, or does it not fucking matter? I don't know, but make sure you check it out this Thursday so that you know what's going on. J-Bone, if you guys are following us at KO3C Pod, like it says down there in the bottom right-hand corner, are any of you guys who are watching, are you familiar with the stylings of one Miss G.O.D Threat? Because she was somebody that stood out to me when we were there. She took on the natural Sam Beal. And look, Sam, I know we haven't gotten to bring you on the show yet, but I will give credit where it's due. You've got one hell of a head of hair, my man. That mullet is something else. Those people were legit upset about this man's mullet and the fact that he was fighting G.O.D Threat. And I think Sam Beal would tell you, if he were in here, G.O.D Threat ain't nothing to fuck with. I'm just saying, G.O.D Threat is not nothing to fuck with. I was impressed by the stylings of G.O.D Threat. If any of you guys in the comments are fans of G.O.D Threat, let me know some of your thoughts. But J-Bone, have you been privy to the stylings of Miss G.O.D Threat?
Just a little bit, man. I seen the stuff that you sent me on Twitter the other day. Very impressive stuff, man. We're glad to have her on here.
Hey, dude, like I said, I've shot that out. But like I said, you know, we've got a few more guests to bring up for you guys. Like I said, Joey coming in the comments. I appreciate you guys in the comments. Keep the comments coming. I know Karam quite well, one of the best people I've ever met, and so humble. I could not agree more. Like, you look at that guy and you just look like, shit, this is a big fucking dude. But he's one of the nicest people you'll meet. But boy, was he giving the people the work at Sanctuary, dude. Like, he didn't give a fuck. He was going at him, and I like it. Joey also coming in the comments. I'm sure that these two have already faced each other, but if you guys haven't checked it out, you know, we had all of the members of DTA on the show at BCWA. You know, we've had all of them on the show. We know, even though DTA is a group, they fight like brothers do, because even though they're a group, them motherfuckers are always scrapping within their own ranks. So you're talking about you'd like to see Karam versus our boy Isaiah Broner, who has been making quite the impact on the indie wrestling world, especially going out to Texas and all those things. I know he's going to be part of Pele, our show with our buddies Pele Pro Wrestling that's coming up. Somebody else told me there might be another nice surprise that you guys just might want to make sure that you go to that show March 19th. Maybe a past guest of the show. Maybe look, I'm just going to say you might want to go check out Pele Pro if you're in the Texas area on March 19th, because somebody might get knocked the fuck out. That's all I'm going to say. If you like to see motherfuckers catch a body, Pele Pro Revelations might be the show for you. And I will be down there for WrestleMania. We're on the countdown in this bitch. I got about a month left, and damn it, I can't wait to get out of work. I got so much shit on the docket. We are ready for this. What up, though, Cody? Cody, I appreciate you, bro. I need you to let us know what you think on some of these topics. Well, since Alex brought it up, oh shit! And Kyle's in there, ring the motherfucking bell. You're damn right. I'm headed to WrestleMania. Ring that bitch. But, all right, since you brought it up, Alex, we'll talk about that first as far as the wrestling end of things. We talked a little bit about Karam coming on. Like I said, he just had he was just involved in an 8-man tag with fellow past guest of the show, Rohit Raju, on AEW Dark tonight. That was just on there for them. So I'm really excited to see what both of those guys are going to do, whether it's with AEW or whoever else, because Rohit Raju is fresh out of his contract with Impact as well. So him being there, Karam being there, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with some of these guys from AEW. But Alex, brought up Elimination Chamber in the comments. J-Bone, with everything we know that's transpired from the injury to Lashley, and how the matches played out and what happened with the tag matches, what are your overall thoughts on Elimination Chamber?
That's a great show, man. Honestly, I went in there with little expectations on what was going to happen there, but it definitely delivered. There's some things I would have did a little different, like having the actual tag team title match would have been nice. I still have yet to see the story on what happened there, but I'll tell you what, one of the highlights of the night for me, I know we're going to get a lot of people that don't like this, but the fact that Roman Reigns choked out Goldberg was one of the dopest things I've ever seen, dude. Talk about putting Roman on a pedestal, man. This dude's reign has just been incredible, man. That, and then you got the whole chamber spot with Austin Theory being tossed off the
past guest of the motherfucking show. Ring the bell.
That poor man, dude. Ugh. That's a long way down.
I got to blow my nose. I'll be back in just a half a second, boys.
You're good.
Yeah, Corey's blowing out his tree trunk for a minute, but yeah, dude. Like I said, Austin Theory, I've had nothing but good things to say about him since he was in Evolve. Let's see. That was the first. Wow. Sophia coming in with the stats all the way from Canada. She said that was the first time Goldberg has ever been submitted.
What I'm talking about, dude.
That's a crazy fucking stat to think about.
I'm okay with it. I was okay with that. I was very curious on how they were going to play that out, but I'm okay with that. Just
Kyle coming in the comments. I agree with you. I definitely think out of the Saudi shows that we've seen thus far, by far, in my opinion, the best one they've done so far.
I agree. I agree.
I think from start to finish, past guest of the show, Jimmy Smith, was talking about it on his show, Unlocking the Cage today. I've been critical of the Saudi Arabia shows, but if I'm being 100% honest, this one, I would agree with Kyle, was probably the best one they've done so far as out of the Saudi Arabia shows. And I will give credit where credit is due. I believe that it was the best show top to bottom that they've done for a Saudi show, in the fact that it wasn't like in a lot of the Saudi shows, there were matches where you're just like, I don't give a fuck about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't give a fuck about this. There's a couple matches I want to see, whatever. But this one really kind of seemed to keep you going through most of it. I think for the most part, I think we got exactly what we needed out of that Roman versus Goldberg match, because, let's face it, Goldberg's not going to go and have this big, long match. But, okay, here's the question, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Hope that's not Goldberg's last match. One more. That was the last match on his contract, Alex.
So, it's always one more. It's always one more.
Always and one then more, Alex in the comments, technically Goldberg wasn't submitted. He was put to sleep.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. You can say he never tapped out, but either way, that was the first time he's ever been submitted like that. So, call it what it is, dude. But, Goldberg lost. Now, here's the thing. Here's my opinion on the whole Goldberg thing. I loved Goldberg growing up. I grew up, in the era of Goldberg and Stone Cold. I was more of a Stone Cold guy, but you could not enjoy a guy that just cut through motherfuckers the way that Goldberg used to do. So I was always a Goldberg fan, but to me, the best way to use Goldberg, especially now later in his career, I feel like the only way to use him is to use him in short spurts and then not have him for a while. I feel like the fact that he's basically come out at every Crown Jewel or every Saudi show and then has come back for like the last 3 or 4 WrestleManias, I feel like in a lot of ways it's starting to take some of the mystique away from Goldberg keep coming back. It was one thing when he would come back and then you didn't come back for a while and then they brought him back when there was something else to dig your teeth into. I feel like we're starting to get to a point where if they don't actually, take him away for a while, I feel like you're starting to lose some of the specialness of Goldberg coming back. Kyle in the comments, I think they actually thought about the show this time, i.e. matches that had an element of surprise with it being a theme pay-per-view. Hey, dude, I'm with you. Hey, man, I'm with you, dude.
PLE.
Yeah, get you that PLE, bro. We don't do PPVs. We do PLEs in this bitch. Get you a PLEs, get you around the PLEs, and you'll be all right. If you guys are in the comments, keep throwing. Go ahead.
How far, because I was just wondering, how far do you think it was to fall off the top of Brock Lesnar's shoulders, off the top of a pod, onto that floor? And if I'm not mistaken, if I've seen that right, easy. That floor looked like it might have caved in a little bit.
Look, dude, he was up 14. He was when you add being on top of Brock too, like that motherfucker was a good 13, 14 feet in the air. And we've gone over this, I don't know how many times on this show. For anybody that's still in the camp that thinks that ring is just so soft, let me tell you, if you're falling from 14 fucking feet in the air onto that shit and you think that it's not gonna hurt, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what to tell you on that one.
One thing I do want to say about Austin Theory, man, dude's one hell of a talent, obviously. But the thing he's doing with the selfies and stuff, when he went around the pods with the
Sophia said it right there,
dude. I was dying laughing. He was going up.
The fact that Riddle stopped and posed with him, I was dying, dog. He gets to Riddle's corner or into by his pod, and then stops in the corner and takes his selfie, and Riddle just stops in mid thing.
Yeah, I was
and like. Nice touch. Riddle had him one of these in the corner. That's why he was so happy.
That was a nice touch on that, dude. And I like that. It was weird to me the way they brought them out, though. I don't understand why we're like I said it on Twitter, doing things ass backwards here. First of all, the champ should have came out last. And
oh my god,
the pods. I didn't understand. I was like, why was Seth Rollins not in the pod when he came out like third or fourth or whatever it was, and then Brock came out last and still went to the pod.
All right, hold on a minute. Can we talk about that for a quick second? Like, does this and Corey, you can chime in on this on MMA too, because they've been doing this a lot in fighting too. All of you guys that are watching, I appreciate you motherfuckers. So I need you to let me know what you think in these comments, because Corey J-Bone just brought something up that I need to talk about, and I want to know if I'm the only one that gets pissed off by this, because this applies to both pro wrestling and combat sports. I fucking hate when the champion comes out first, whether it's a fight, a wrestling match. I hate it. I don't get it. It irks my fucking soul, especially in a wrestling match.
Yeah.
It irks my fucking soul.
In this case, I understand that Brock is a bigger star. I get that. But the title,
he's the champ, though. Let him come out last.
Right. The title is still what matters, and the title is what was at stake. So I don't understand why Bobby wouldn't come out last. Unless they were trying to pull something like, oh, it's random who was entering the pods, then enter in the order of which they enter the pods, I guess. But the way they do it just ass backwards to me.
I just hate that.
If you're gonna play into if that's the whole case, is it was like a random selection type of thing, then do like some weird like light up thing where it's like
show me it's random.
Doom. And then like, or something along those lines where it's like, to your point, at least like showcase that's the case, not just oh, we felt as though this would be the best way to stack it. So
even to go on like an MMA hand, they've even been doing that with title fights lately, and I just don't understand it. Like,
I don't either.
I mean,
nor do I like it.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you. I want all of you guys who are watching. I need to know: does this bother you like it bothers me? Because it drives me fucking insane.
Well, the reason why it bothers me, I don't know if this is the same reason that maybe you feel or not, but the champion, right? They've worked their way, whether they're the co-main or the main event of the pay-per-view or whatever the case, but they've worked their way to the point where they're supposed to be like the capping stone of the fight. And if that's not the case, then you're kind of taking something away from them. The only time I can understand it is maybe if somebody had like an exorbitant walkout or something like that, or had like fireworks or something.
If it's an extravagant walkout, that's one thing.
Yeah, but that's not usually the case.
Only time I like it is like
perfect example. Alex said it there. It was the same thing at the Royal Rumble. Why the fuck is Roman Reigns coming out first?
Yeah, didn't make sense to me.
He's like your main champion in the company. Why the fuck is he coming out first? Like, no disrespect to Seth Rollins. Like, any of you guys that follow us at those social medias down there in that bottom right-hand corner, you would know I've worked out with the man probably 4 or 5 times at this point. Hell, I've fucking worked out with his wife too. So I'm not hating on Seth Rollins, but
throwing his wife in there, huh?
Dude, his wife. Hey, Becky Lynch, if you ever hear this, the door is wide open to you and your husband. I have no problems with big time Bex over here. I'm just saying. But look, dude, I don't know. That, like, I have like little pet peeves in whether it's wrestling or fighting. It fucking drives me insane. Especially in the sense of like WWE, because in WWE, to me, that's basically shitting on that guy's credibility as champion. To me, like I just
in certain instances, like this one, yes, and the Roman Reigns, not so much, because I feel
Sophia brings up a good point to why he came out second, because they did the big Shield entrance. Like I get that. So in that sense, I could understand why you'd have him come out, because he came in through the crowd and all that stuff, but. Look, dude, if I'm being 100% honest, it's definitely something that grinds my fucking gears.
I just think most of all, it takes away from the title prestige, man. I mean, everybody knows that the champ is the champ for a reason. So what does everybody want? The title. So why, in most cases, the title holder needs to come out last.
I mean, I'm just saying that's been like, call it old school, call it whatever you want. That's something that drives me nuts. Before we get out of Elimination Chamber and all that stuff, now that we know that Bobby Lashley is injured, what are your thoughts about the way that and all of you guys who are watching, please let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts on the whole situation with Lashley? I want Kyle in the comments. They did that with Kofi, Big E, AJ Styles, Jinder. I noticed it with AJ. It pissed me off. That was the WWE title too. Mm-hmm. No, and I agree. That's my whole point. Like, it would be one thing if it happened one time here or there, for like if you have like an extravagant entrance. But to me, like, that's part of being the champion. Like, it
comes with being the champion,
right? I think the champ deserves that shit, because there's a reason why they're putting the belt on him. That's just my personal opinion, but that brings us to a perfect speaking of the WWE title, Kyle. Now that we know that it's being reported that Bobby Lashley has been banged up since Royal Rumble, and now it looks like it's being reported that he's supposed to have shoulder surgery, but it was announced last night on Raw that they're doing the Madison Square Garden house show. And on that match, not only is Ronda Rousey going to be on that card, you're also going to have Brock Lesnar on that card defending the title against Bobby Lashley on that show at Madison Square Garden. But here's my thing. So I want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Champ gets the last match. Champ gets to come out last. Kyle, I'm with you, dog. Like, I promise you. Like, I'm with you. 100%. I'm with you, dog. Like, I'm in the same boat. But man, I don't know how to feel about all this shit with Lashley, right? Because I was really pissed that he never really got the full run with the title, but now we know he also got injured as well. Let's see. I heard that it's the second or third suplex from Brock that knocked his shoulder out. I mean, and let's face it, dude, Brock Lesnar is a fucking freak of nature. It doesn't matter how big you are. That big bastard is throwing you.
Like, you're landed backwards, dude, with your head facing forward. It's dangerous in itself. So I'm sure. And plus, it's not like Bobby Lashley's got a lot of like cushion to land on. He's landing on muscle, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
the man is like one big walking fucking muscle, dude. Like that. So, let's be honest here. Like, he's one. And like at first I was like mad, right? I found myself like, damn it, WWE never really gave him a run with the championship. But now that you know that he's hurt at Royal Rumble, I mean, in a way, I almost kind of got to give WWE credit, because if they knew he was hurt, at least by doing it this way, it still is giving you the picture that Bobby Lashley is looked at as a main event player. He's just hurt. But man, now that we brought up that MSG card, it's being reported that, I mean, so at the current configuration of how they're seating Madison Square Garden, according to what they were saying on Busted Open this morning, that right now it's currently scaled to where Madison Square Garden should hold around 10,000. Usually it's around 18, 20,000, but right now it's around 10,000. Now they're saying for the big show that they've got. Now, mind you, the show is on March 5th. The show is on March 5th, so we're not that far from it. And so they've only sold about, we'll say, 5,000 tickets for this. Do you think
a house show of some sort? This isn't a Monday Night Raw or anything, right?
No, but they're bringing everybody for this bitch. Ronda Rousey's on it. The dumbasses from YouTube that I don't understand what the fuck you're saying in the comments that I'm not going to reply to. Yeah, I see you there. But like I said, dude, that puts you in one hell of a predicament with that, in my opinion. I'm
wondering what it is with
Kyle said
Bobby,
with Bobby being out. I hope that they give MVP something and don't just take him off TV with Bobby. I agree with that, but I think MVP is still finishing up his rehab from his knee and stuff. So I don't know that we see him in there. Hell, if Bobby's hurt, here you go, Kyle. I mean, what do you think about this? What if, since Bobby's hurt, and Shelton and Cedric are still going around as the hurt businessman, why don't you have MVP feud with Shelton and Cedric? I don't know. I mean, at least it gives them something to do. I don't know, man. I can't be mad at them for the run.
I got a question for you. Do you think, as far as Bobby Lashley, do you think this is a way, and it could be just a risk, because let's just say he needs surgery on that shoulder. Do you think this is his, like, hey, let's get you to MSG. Let's have something happen to you in the match with Brock. That way we can write you off till you get the surgery. You can.
I think that's 100% what it is. Like,
maybe
I think it's that they put
something.
And then he gets the biggest, the biggest show and everything under his wraps. Yeah. And like you, honestly, you had kind of noted, he'll be able to come right back into the title.
I mean, because if you think about it, dude, like I was telling you this earlier, Kyle, take away Brock Lesnar from the picture. Let's just say Brock never came back. Bobby's the top guy besides Roman Reigns.
On Raw, like for sure.
He's just in a bad spot, and I think the same thing happened with Big E. They were just bad timing in a bad spot, because when Brock comes back, everybody, it's like the C parts for Brock. You know what I mean? He's the superstar. Everybody.
Kyle's bringing up another good point too. This is something that they talked about on Busted Open this morning, but it's a very good point. The other thing that people got to take into account when everybody's so quick to say, "Oh, WWE can't sell out Madison Square Garden," but you also got to take into effect, New York has a lot stricter COVID regulations than we do here. And on top of that, it's also been said that in order to get into Madison Square Garden, you have to be vaccinated. And is it vaccinated? You got to be vaccinated and have like a
negative test probably or something.
Yeah, you got to I forgot if anyone knows what the exact regulations are, feel free to throw them in the comments. But
it's probably one of those clear pass type deals or something along those lines. But I mean,
you're not wrong. Every guy that he just named, Drew, Big E, and Bobby, all deserve the title.
All just bad timing. It's just
timing. Think about Drew McIntyre. We watched him win the championship, comes back, has a badass run, and his whole fucking title run is essentially in front of no fans. That sucks.
Yeah, I agree, man.
That sucks, because Drew McIntyre...
And that goes back to Brock's point, though, that it's nothing on Brock. Brock is a superstar, probably one of the biggest stars. But you got to find a way to get past that as a WWE superstar. I know it sounds...
Well, dude, it's like what he said on the Pat McAfee show, dude.
Like, as a fan, it sounds shitty because you want to see your guys succeed. But like Big E, perfect example. You take Brock out of the equation, I bet Big E might be in that main event this year. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't argue that at all, because here's the thing that nobody wants to talk about when you're talking about Brock Lesnar. Say what you want. Say what you will. You can say that he didn't want to work with people. You can say that he doesn't, that he hasn't gotten better as a wrestler. How about Brock coming out and killing? Bro, I can't argue that. How about Brock coming in and killing Kofi Mania in 10 seconds? I can't argue.
The seas just part for Brock. No matter who's standing there, everybody.
Well, and that's my whole thing, right? Like, so, like, I agree with what you said. You can't hate on Brock for that because Brock comes back and people want to see him. Clearly, by just based upon the fact that now that they've got him talking for himself, he's not the best talker, but it's something new. It's something different. You know what I mean? Like, we've never really heard Brock talk for himself.
Right.
So, like I said, I'm enjoying it. I feel bad for Bobby Lashley, but I also don't feel like you can really put this on WWE either, because somebody getting hurt is somebody getting hurt. And if you've got Brock Lesnar around, why the fuck would you not? Why would you not?
They're still doing a good job of protecting Bobby too. So we're not making
right, because at least by them having the match at Madison Square Garden, if he goes in there and gets his ass whooped, at least they're keeping him strong, and they're trying to, they're letting you know that he's injured. They're not just saying, "Oh, Bobby's out of the picture. Fuck him. He's going back down to the end of the line like he was hurt." And Kyle likes your points as well. J-Bone spot on. Brock doesn't need a title, but Brock's already box office. He's a draw with or without the title. It's 100% fact.
Yep.
But the whole thing is with a guy like that, right? You only get to hold on to him for so long. And especially with the spurts that he has where he comes in and out of the sport. And why wouldn't you want that guy as your title holder? And it's super unfortunate to the likes of Big E and Bobby, but it's the nature of the business, especially when you have somebody kind of picking and choosing the outcomes. He is such a marketable draw that it's hard to say, well, why would we try to build somebody else up when we're missing out on money if we let this go by potentially?
Exactly. Yep.
And doesn't need to win the chamber. By giving him all three, you needlessly take opportunities from other people. Okay,
agreed.
So I
definitely agreed.
All right, Alex in the comments too. Will Roman get stretched too thin if he has to be on Raw and SmackDown every week? Nah. I don't think.
If anybody can do it, it's Roman, though. If there's going to be anybody,
normally
he might be the only one that does that. If that's what happens with the titles, he might be the only one that goes back and forth on that kind of schedule, which I would be okay with. You don't need to see everybody on both shows.
Yeah.
No, okay. So here's my thing. I agree with you 100%, Jerry. I don't think Brock needs the title. But I also think from a company standpoint, outside of Roman Reigns right now, I think it's pretty much unarguable that Brock is the biggest star in the fucking company. So if let's just, use a couple of the names. If we're talking Big E, even though I think a lot of that had to do with how he was booked, his title reign never really got over the way they wanted it to. You can go down the line. Drew McIntyre is the same deal. Like, I think Drew would have had a completely different title reign if there were fans involved, but that's another one where he was a burden of circumstance. So with the given crop and what they've got in there, like if you've got a guy like Brock Lesnar there, like giving him the Rumble and the Chamber takes out two other storylines. So I agree with you on the Chamber part. I don't think that they needed the Chamber necessarily. I don't have as much problem with the Rumble because the fact that he got fucked over by Heyman in the same night, I'm okay with it because at least now you've given me a reason as to why the fuck he needs to be Now you've given reason to why he needs to be in there. The Chamber, on the other hand, I mean, everybody already knew we were going the unification route, which I, for one, have been saying that shit. I've been saying that shit for a long time. I like the idea better of when Roman wins and has both title and both shows. That's going to be an overexposure. Audience will get tired of him. I disagree with the overexposure thing, bro. I've always been a fan of one champion. I always thought, except for like the original brand split, I always thought the two champions kind of like watered it down in a lot of ways. Just my personal opinion. Sophia coming in the comments from Canada. I don't mind the chamber because they needed to get to the champion versus champion match. We need to make this match as big as possible. I agree with you. If you're going to do champion versus champion, it's going to be winner take all. It needs to be as big as you can make it. So I agree with you on that. But I also see Jerry's point in the opportunities that it takes away from other people. But I feel like because there's not as many, and a lot of this is on WWE because they haven't built, that next star. But I feel like because you have the lack of star power right now, like overwhelming star power, that, like you said, Corey, if you have a guy like Brock moves the fucking needle, period.
Yep.
Like there's nothing else to say. Brock moves the fucking needle. So until somebody else, catches that fire again, now WWE's got to help push them. But until that happens, I think we're going to see more of that with Brock. Sophia in the comments, I feel like Vince is just going with Roman and Brock, and that's all he really cares about. I mean, well, as of right now, I mean, that's not a bad way to look about it. Well, we've talked a little bit about WWE, but we also, like we talked about last week, saw the release of Cody Rhodes. I have a couple things that I posed to you with that. Now that we've seen Cody leave AEW, we know that there's more people that are bound to have their contracts come up in the next year or two. Do you think that by Cody leaving, that this is just a precursor, and it's boring now, 3 WrestleManias with Brock and Roman? Yeah, I can't argue that. Although, Kyle, I would argue that this time's different with Brock and Roman, though, because I feel like this is a different Roman, and it's a different story, being that Paul Heyman is all up in the mix of this shit, and we still really don't know which way Paul's going to go. I think that's the saving grace for this time with Brock and Roman, is having that Paul Heyman element in there, because, I mean, let's face it, Paul Heyman is great. But back to the question I had. So we saw Cody Rhodes is gone from AEW. Do you think that this is going to be the first of names that we see, leave AEW? If so, who are some other names that you think could be on the way out for AEW, J-Bone?
Honestly, it's a good and a bad thing, because obviously you don't want him to be the one, since he started the whole thing with everybody, but it's going to flatten out in AEW, which is good. So you're releasing these big time guys who are taking up a bunch of cap space, a bunch of money. So we need to thin the herd. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's overhauled over. It's an overload of talent in AEW. Everybody's not even getting on TV because of it. So start there. Next, I would say I wouldn't be completely shocked if we see Chris Jericho out of there. I wouldn't.
Do you think he'd ever go back to WWE though?
Of course, I think he would. 100%. 100% he would. Why wouldn't he? You know
he wouldn't really have any reason not to, but I kind of agree
Jericho
with
would not.
Jericho wouldn't have any egg on his face. Now, on the other hand, I also see Kyle's point of view, because what he said is very true. And that was my first initial thought when there was all this talk of, Cody's coming back at WrestleMania, Cody's coming to WWE. Here's the thing, bro. They threw a lot of shots at WWE, Cody being one of the biggest ones while they were in AEW. So if he were to just go back to WWE now, it's gonna be a tough look, dude.
Definitely the proverbial egg on his face, if you ask me, dude. But I mean, already seen on Raw, they're planting the seeds.
You don't think he'd want to bring? Wow, you really don't think he'd want to bring Jericho back? Fuck, I do. Especially now that he's went to AEW, I think now would be the exact time he would want to bring Jericho back, because now he's got more value from the other company. Shit, I think Jericho needs to go back at least once for his Hall of Fame season. I agree with you.
Good point.
Jericho is the only other name I'd think would go back anyway. I mean, why would you WWE really isn't making any new stars other than Theory? I can't argue that either. That's why I'm saying though, like part of me wonders if he would go back to WWE. I still am not leading out the thought that Cody could be going back to WWE, but to think that he would be back there that quick by WrestleMania, if he's going to go back there, that's pretty fast. But kudos to WWE, because like Sophia was saying in the comments, I liked that they were throwing all, like, did you peep like the references that were made about Cody in the promo? Like, by
dashing
Ed, dashing, missing,
smoking mirrors,
somebody dashing, and the smoking mirrors, and all that shit, referencing to what his names and monikers were when he was in WWE.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. About fucking time WWE plays into some of the shit that the stuff that's going on. Mox can go back one day for a big payday and Shield reunion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Mox would have any desire to want to go back there until he gets older at this point. I really don't.
I'd like to see it, but like you said, I don't think he would.
I'm kind of with you. Who are some of the names you think that'll be out of AEW though once their contracts are out? The biggest one that sticks out to me, I think. Also, if you guys want to check out, something with this guy, hit that subscribe button and check out our interview with Mr. Get My Shit In. Brian Cage, who I don't know how the fuck he's not being used in AEW right now. I think he's going to be one of the first ones to be gone when his contract ends up. I mean, I think I feel like you're going to see a lot of people are going to leave because, even though AEW may have the vibe, see, that's why we love you guys. See, Sophia says if you read Mox's book, he won't be going back anytime soon.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Some of it will depend on whether the schedule calms down. AEW schedule is much better for work-life balance, but if WWE doesn't resume as many house shows, that wouldn't be as bad as it was. No, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. I don't think that we're going to necessarily see a schedule like that really come back, and if it does, I don't think it'll be for a long time. I feel like we're going to see more of a similar schedule to what we see now. The last thing I want to talk about before we talk about some of the combat sports stuff, major news in the world of Impact Wrestling. The Guerrillas of Destiny, G.O.D, are kicked out of Bullet Club. Son of a bitch. You're talking about Bullet Club OGs from the beginning of Bullet Club. So for them to get stomped out and put out on TV like that, that was
You're crazy.
I never thought I would see them be the ones to get put out because they were one of the originals. So for them to get put out like that by the Good Brothers and Switchblade and all that stuff, boy, I don't know. You talk about storylines that are intriguing to me. G.O.D being put out of the Bullet Club, bro. Did you see what the Bucks wrote on their Twitter bio? No, Kyle, what did they say in the Twitter bio? We all know the Bucks always are putting some weird shit in their bio. And why wouldn't they tie into this? What are your thoughts on G.O.D being out of the Bullet Club, J-Bone?
That's crazy to me, dude. I didn't think that was going to be even a thing. Like
they've got one of the most badass theme songs, man. Just saying.
They fucking do, right? Yeah, OGs right there, man. That one shocked me. Not a lot of things surprise you in wrestling nowadays. That was definitely one of them. Pretty crazy.
I didn't see that shit happening, much less for it to happen on American soil.
Right.
For that to happen here too, like that's saying something because those motherfuckers, anyone that knows anything about G.O.D or Bullet Club, they're not in the States much.
Right.
They're not in the States much. So never really cared for. Wow. Jay can't kick out Tama. Tama Lib's Bullet Club, Jay's Bullet Club / Elite Hybrid. I mean, I don't know, bro. If you watch Impact, that looked like to me like they stomped his ass out.
Tama's
I'm just saying.
Favorite too, man. I love that guy.
They stomped Tama and them out, and Chris Bay and all of them left him laying there in the ring. So to me, I would say that's a pretty safe bet to say that they put your ass out the.
Curious to see what happens next with that, though. That's definitely got me intrigued. So
G.O.D ain't taking that sitting down.
Oh hell no, they ain't no bitches, dude.
G.O.D is not taking that sitting down. Those motherfuckers will be on Impact this week, and Switchblade and all those boys better be ready because let's not forget that G.O.D isn't only connected with Bullet Club. They're also part of. They've got their dad Haku. You got Hikuleo. You got Tom. Bad Luck Fale. Like I think that this could cause like a huge rift all through New Japan and Bullet Club. I think that this is going to be something that we're only going to see blossom. As we go. I don't know.
I'm here
Too
for it.
sweet, bro.
I can't wait to see it.
Look, this Bullet Club shit is money, bro. That's all I'm saying. Bullet Club is money. It's too sweet. And if you're trying to get too sweet on them motherfucking taxes, you got to hit up the homies from G3 Payroll and Tax. Shout out to our boy Jack Gerard, the newest sponsor of Knockouts and 3 Counts. If you need payroll done, if you need taxes done, if you need business filing done, if you need any of that kind of good stuff done, make sure you check out our friends at G3 Payroll and Tax. Because, I don't know, just tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you. But, talk about making money. Looks like money, smells like money, knocked his ass out like money. Chad Money Mendes made his debut at Knuckle Mania 2 and knocked the fucking the flames out of fames. I'm just saying.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Nice one.
He knocked the flames out of Fame's ass real quick. That's all. Shout out G3 Payroll. You heard it.
Before we go praising Mendes, which he rightfully deserves, Fame's put on a hell of a performance.
He did way better than I expected.
Clearly,
I thought he was going out in the first minute or two.
Yeah, for somebody who was clearly outmatched, definitely significantly less power in his shots, that's for sure. And Chad Mendes, I mean, dude had thighs as thick as a fucking tree trunk.
He looked like a fucking. He was yoked.
Yeah, there's levels to like jacked, and he was reaching the pinnacle of.
And he was still quick. That's the thing for him being that much bigger, being that he fought at 145. Like he was still quick at 155 too. So
yeah,
I'm gonna just put this out here right now. Chad Mendes wins another fight. There ain't nobody besides Luis Palomino that's beating him in Bare Knuckle FC. Sorry.
Yeah, and even now I could see them kind of steering that route because he looked so impressive in his first fight for the promotion. I could definitely see him steering that route with the name and everything, and the fact that he came out there, got the 4 knockdowns, and the last one being a finish. I could definitely see it, man.
So I could see that too, but I mean, after listening to our friend Jimmy Smith, which if you haven't already done so, make sure you check out that interview with Jimmy where he tells us about his first night on Monday Night Raw and all kinds of different stuff. Dude, like Jimmy was talking about it today. Chad Mendes is still technically under contract with the UFC.
Yeah.
So what are the chances
they allowed him to sign a multi-fight deal with BKFC? So,
but that's only because he's not fighting under his current contract, though. Mm-hmm. That's the caveat here.
But do you think they actually renegotiate to the point where he's not only like happy with the deal, but where he would be willing to make that transition back, especially with his age and stuff? I feel like so many matchups and stuff would have to go into that, and with everything. And like to your point, Kyle, he's coming in there thick fighting at 55. I don't see him coming in the UFC fighting at 55. I feel like the height would be more of a disadvantage in the UFC. And I just don't see it. I don't see the UFC pulling out their pockets because you put on an impressive performance in a lesser company in BKFC. Yeah. So now all of a sudden we want you back. I just if they could.
Well, here's the thing you got to take into it. I don't think they are now. I would agree with you, except for this point. If you listen to the post-fight comments from Chad Mendes pretty much made it clear that like he didn't know how he felt about taking the damage that he did on his hands when he was hitting him. And we all know that Chad Mendes can drop a truck. I mean, I love Chad Mendes, but I'm still upset that he beat up my buddy. But with that being said, it's tough, right? Because on one hand, you'd like to be like, well, okay, so he doesn't want to fight on his contract again. Maybe you could see him go back there. But with him saying things like that about the shots to the hand, I wouldn't necessarily rule it out that he goes back there. Because especially with his style and the way he fights, if it's doing too much damage to his hands to be hitting guys like that and he can't take them down, I think that could maybe change his thing. But then again, if the payouts are what he says they are, he was getting paid in the same range that Francis Ngannou was. And if you're getting paid that kind of money, then who could really argue with you as far as what you're going to do about that? And so just to keep the news coming in this motherfucker, we talked about rappers. Well, we're going to also have the return next week of our buddy formerly known as Teasy Scott, but Teasy Jones will be with us fresh he'll be with us on Thursday, right before they do the AEW Music Fest. That's going to be right before Revolution, alongside Wrestling Flow, Jadine Williams, and Mikey Ruckus from AEW. We will have Montezi here this Thursday to talk about the new AEW project. He was part of the Black History Month project. You know who else was part of the Black History Month project that just got dropped by AEW? The homie Mega Ran. So if you haven't already done so, make sure you go check that out. We're going to have a lot to talk about on that episode. We're bringing you good guests over here. So we got Karam this week, fresh off his match tonight that aired tonight for AEW, but we also will be joined next Tuesday by Australia's own Joel Bateman before he comes over here on his American tour. We heard Tommy Vendetta say that he wanted to fight Joel Bateman. Well, guess what? Joel Bateman told me that he wants to fight Tommy Vendetta. So guess what? You might want to tune in next Tuesday so that you can hear what Joel Bateman has to say in return to the lovable psychopath himself, Tommy Vendetta. Now, before we get on to the rest of the stuff with MMA, we brought up Tommy Vendetta, which if you missed our episode with Tommy Vendetta, you can find that on our YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts or all those good things. But what are your thoughts on RPW Code Orange and ICW No Holds Barred going down this weekend for Mr. Vendetta? How do you think he's going to shape up come this weekend, J-Bone?
Oh, he's got a lot of work ahead of him, man. It's a long weekend. I hope he's got a lot of bandages, a lot of aspirin. Maybe take
be careful with the aspirin. Shit, he's going to be probably bleeding a bunch, so you don't want to bleed out or nothing. Right. Let's be careful on the aspirin.
But I'll tell you what, though, that dude don't play. I seen his tweet today. He is a crazy motherfucker. He's got good taste in hats, I'll tell you that. But dude is definitely what he says he is. He's a psychopath.
He was definitely fired up when we had him on last week. Man. And to his point, he was breaking down all three of the up and coming matches on the weekend. And anybody who's going to put in that kind of schedule, getting their name out like that, man, props to him, man. Especially in his line of work, in the deathmatch era, he's not coming out unscathed, so he's signing up for some, like I had noted on the show, he's signing up for some scars. He just doesn't know where they're going, so.
You're not kidding, dude. Those matches are going to be gnarly, especially the one at ICW, because there's 4 motherfuckers in there all going for the American Deathmatch title. There's going to be a lot of blood. Motherfuckers are getting shanked.
Yeah.
It's going to be gnarly.
I can't wait to see the pictures and all that.
One person I'm surprised came out less scarred with all the bubbling and stuff on their face was Mike Perry in his BKFC debut. He was a little bubbly faced. To your point, Kyle, when I was talking to you, I believe it was Sunday or whatever, but Mike Perry's hands were pretty well fucked. It looked like after about the midway point in the third round, maybe even the second, like that towards the end of the second. And he was trying to go in there and just slap box at a certain point, and the ref kept telling him to close his fist. Even with the circumstances, he was still able to get a pretty solid win in his BKFC debut against Julian Lane. So I know you were able to check that one out. I don't know if you did, J-Bone, but that was an entertaining fight. That's for damn sure.
I got to see some small clips, and I seen a good photo of Mike Perry spitting out the blood.
Yeah.
Mid spit, dude, all blood. I was like, hell yeah, that's a badass right there.
Like, I already had a certain level of respect for Perry with all the wars and stuff that he showcased. And even more so, I feel like now that he's left the UFC and is kind of like in this money hunt grind, and now he's just like doing the BKFC thing. He did the Triller thing, looked well, and both of them really, in my opinion. And it's nice to see these guys that like struggle to do all this shit, build a name for them, and then the UFC is like, we're good. At least he's able to like build himself back up on the backside of the card, I guess you could say.
I mean, Mike Perry is really kind of cut out for bare knuckle. I don't know necessarily how good he's going to do as far as title aspirations, because
other than that head movement, though.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, so that's what we were talking about when we were talking about title aspirations for people in BKFC. In my personal opinion, the ones who are going to do good in bare knuckle FC are the guys who can like legitimately box. Like, if you don't learn to have head movement and don't learn how to be able to be slick and roll punches and things like that, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that Mike Perry has the heart to stand in there and bang with anybody. But when you're fighting bare knuckle, dude, you're not going to take as many of those punches. So, sure, he looked good. He won his fight. No shade, nothing like that. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But I mean, in order for him to beat a guy like some of the top tier guys, his boxing is going to have to clean up, because even with all that talk about how he was going to be elusive and move, it just turned into another bang session, which let me bang Julian Lane. That's what he wanted anyway. But I mean, like I said, I'm interested to see what happens for Mike Perry. I just hope that it goes well, because the other thing on the flip side to this with Mike Perry is if he goes in there and he he wins his first couple fights, but then goes on a run and just doesn't do well, well, now you've shot your credibility as far as the MMA world too. So like if he goes in there and gets his ass whooped a few times and then has a bad record, it's not going to be a good look when he comes back to MMA, because it's not like he hadn't already taken losses in MMA too. So,
but you don't think the likes of like a Eagle FC and stuff like that are already?
I'm talking about if he ever has any. Sure, maybe Eagle FC, but I'm saying if he ever has any aspirations to fight in one of the bigger promotions again, I feel like if this BKFC run doesn't go well, I don't think we're going to see that.
But I watched Platinum Peru was on Ariel Hawani's MMA Hour this last Monday, and he did a pretty open interview, basically saying like, man, I'm about the money now, and it's whatever company's paying me the most. I'm happy with what I was able to do in my last two fights, to his point. And but it's basically about where he can collect checks, and I don't think that's necessarily going to be one of the top organizations. I think with somebody of his star power and his ability to bring eyes in, like, I mean, there's a reason why we're bringing him up on the show. It's because he always puts on entertaining fights, win or lose. So somebody to the likes of an Eagle FC, or somebody who's genuinely trying to make the step to like to be maybe the new B promotion or whatever the case be, like Eagle FC is doing, or a couple others are, or even if he continues to do like the Triller route or whatever the case, he definitely has a route still in combat sports, I feel.
I agree he does. I just am saying I feel like a lot of that is going to be dependent upon how this run in BKFC goes. Because, okay, so he's looking good right now. He beat Julian Lane. He won the Triller fight. But let's just say he goes on his next two fights and, I don't know, takes a nasty knockout. Or I'm not saying one fight does that. I'm just saying that for him to have any chance at like another run, and I'm not even saying in the UFC, even if you want to plug in PFL, Bellator, whoever the fuck you want to pick,
I think to your point, PFL would be a great option. I think they get left out a lot in people's thoughts when it comes to free agents, because they end up just signing.
I think they do too, but I think
so quieter talent. But
I got a couple thoughts on that. So you mentioned PFL. If you guys are new here and haven't seen him, we're gonna have the return of Brett Big Dog Martin as he gets ready to make his debut for PFL on March 25th. But here's the thing. So PFL, it's a known fact that they're paying better than a lot of the promotions. I mean, I know that's a fact. I know other people that were in talks to have been signed with PFL, and a lot of people are happy with the money they're making. But here's the thing, though. Again, right now, as it sits with him winning, sure, he could go to an Eagle FC. He could go to Bellator. He could go to any one of them right now. But because Mike Perry is having like the entertaining fights and stuff, but not going out there and blowing guys away, I think if he gets into a few more of these wars and comes out on the bad end of a decision, we could be talking different when it comes time to play the free agent game, wherever the fuck that is. So I really feel like a lot of his next moves are all going to be dependent upon how well this next run goes. Because, you know, let's face it, I'm not hating on her because I'm always down to watch Paige Van Zandt fight. But she lost both their fights in BKFC.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, whether the second fight was a lot closer or not, she still lost.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I think a lot of the reason why PFL doesn't get the same respect is because, okay, so they brought in all these names like Anthony Pettis, Werdum, who else did they bring in? Rory McDonald. And they all lost. Every one of them lost.
But if anything, that should build the validity for the company because it showcases that, hey, a lot of these guys that we scouted and have recruited to our roster are
maybe it tells you that they got young killers, but it's a bad look for the company because you just spent all that money basically on name power, and all the name power that you spent that money on.
It could be viewed as marketing, right? Because that's a lot of the reason why people end up watching is because these names are involved, and if the names weren't.
But is it though? Because they didn't have good numbers on ESPN, dude.
ESPN renewed their contract, so you say they didn't have good numbers, but I mean,
look at them. Look at the numbers during the PFL playoffs. Even when fucking Kayla Harrison was fighting, they didn't.
Their finales viewership.
I like PFL, but I just don't think that they're getting the same eyes, and it's sad because they have a lot of good guys. But I don't know, man. I think PFL could definitely still be a place for a lot of guys to go coming up. Like I said, I'm a fan of it. I'm definitely looking forward to talk about that with Brett Martin. We also is Britain Hart. Okay, here's the other thing: is Britain Hart overrated?
So me and you had this conversation yet again when we were talking, kind of summarizing the card, and in my thoughts, no, because she was significantly outsized.
Hot damn, Janai Kai is on Bloodsport. Can't wait to get to fucking Dallas and watch her kick a motherfucker in the face.
Nice.
All right, go ahead.
But it just you threw me all off with the.
Got them all over the place now.
I know, you got me scrambled.
Janai Kai got you thinking.
Yeah, once in a while. But no, Britain Hart, she's shown.
I'm not saying she doesn't have heart. Don't
yeah,
mistake me.
That's what she's full of. She may not be like the most technical, the most talented and stuff like that, but she is able to out-brawl a lot of these girls because she's able to showcase that heart over these girls. Christine Ferreira, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I got that right. She showcased that she's just the more technical, bigger outside.
See, and that's where my beef with Britain Hart, right? Like, I'm not saying that Britain Hart doesn't have heart for days and will fight with anybody. Like, she's a dog. Like, I'm not taking anything away from that. But from what I've seen, even with her fight that she had with Paige Van Zandt, I feel like if she doesn't tighten up her boxing or be able to learn how to utilize the dirty boxing a little better, she's going to end up.
She's going to continue to be in these tight fights where she's testing her last name. She's testing her heart to see whether she's, able to outwit these girls and outstand these girls. To your point, if she isn't able to improve on a couple things. But that being said, if you've been watching BKFC up to this point pretty consecutively, I feel as though she's already not like cemented her spot among the great, but like she's earned respect already, and I feel as though that's hard to be taken away. Even if
she's definitely built herself a name there. Like I'm not arguing that.
Even if she does go in and get outclassed again in another fight or something like that, I feel as though she showcased, even in that last fight, she wanted that belt. She was going in there in the 5th round just as hard as she was in the first. It wasn't like she ever doubted herself or ever question the fact that she could still win that fight, even when she was getting outclassed and punched up. And
like I
know,
said, she's as tough as they can be, and that I'm not taking away from her at all. I just worry that if we don't see like some cleaned up in her overall boxing skills, I feel like you can only go through so many wars, especially when you're talking about bare knuckle. So
yeah,
for her own sake, she's going to need to clean up her defense. Just my opinion.
Yeah, but if you look at the strength of the rest of the roster, yeah, she might not be able to beat the current champ, which I think, you know, unless given some crazy circumstance, lays some crazy combo down or something. She's not hurting Christine. She's just too big, too powerful. But against the rest of the division, she's kind of showcased already that she is able to win those fights. So I don't necessarily.
No, I agree with that. She definitely proved that she deserves to be
something.
there. I just think that she needs to tighten some shit up if she wants to be serious about a fucking title. But all right, we talked about people that will not die. You know, you got to talk about Jim Miller, dude. Jim Miller fucking knocked the life out of that man at UFC Vegas 48. Like, Jim Miller is timeless. I can watch Jim Miller all the time, and dude, he beat the fuck out of that man. Here's the question: Do you think that the stoppage was too late?
No,
it wasn't too late because it was just all kind of in one fluid motion. It's not like he landed a bunch of follow-up shots or anything like that. But let me hear your argument before I continue to go.
I've not got an argument whether it was one way or the other. I wasn't saying it was, but a lot of people were saying that, Jim Miller said in his post-fight that he thought that the ref let him take more shots than he should have.
Yeah, and the way that he landed on his arm with it kind of being like tucked behind his back and stuff was a bad look.
And his opponent, shout out to Mota, bro. It's not like Mota didn't fight, but I mean, Jim Miller, don't sleep on Jim Miller. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna start shouting these guys out on the shows that make me money. So thanks a lot, Jim Miller. Got that $80. Appreciate you.
Whoa. Yeah. What was he, the underdog or something?
I parlayed that. So I parlayed the Buckley one to win by decision. Buckley to win by decision, and then right behind that, I parlayed Miller to win by TKO.
Wow.
So what are your guys' thoughts on the Buckley fight, though? Did you think he won? Because I'm hearing a lot of people saying they thought he lost.
I did not think he was going to win that. When it was time for the decision, I was like, shit, there goes my parlay. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I wasn't mad about it by any means, but no, that fight could have went the other way, and I would have had no argument with it, to be honest.
Thoughts on the Detroit Dust guy being in his corner?
It's definitely not. It was definitely not a robbery. To your point, if I was one of the judges, I had Al Hassan winning that fight in my scorecards, but I could have definitely seen it going either way. I think maybe some of the dust from the Detroit urban survival tactics may have gotten in these judges' eyes because they may have gotten.
Holy shit!
But
fucking
we got
Twitter.
Breaking news. We got breaking news.
Fucking Twitter, dude. Like,
always love when breaking news comes down the wire.
Can somebody just tell John Jones to sit the fuck down, please?
Oh no, that's old. It's old. It's when he got arrested from last year. It's just the video just got out. I didn't want to bring it up on the show because I wasn't sure if you guys were aware of it. I had already looked into all that, but it's from his last arrest in Vegas. But either way, it's a terrible look, and especially if you do watch the video,
if we don't,
which I do recommend to hardcore fans because it's a bad look on John Jones. If you're into that, if you want to see it, look for it. But that being said, it's a bad look, especially some of the things that were said and stuff like that in the video. And he's acting wild. You can tell he's not necessarily, Bible thumper John Jones anymore in that video. That's for sure. But it's a bad look, and that's why I didn't want to bring it up unless you guys reversed on it because, it is from the last arrest from his Hall of Fame induction night.
This guy just needs to, even if it was from the last one, but damn it, dude, just sit the fuck down. Please, just damn.
Well, We haven't heard anything since then. Knock on some wood, because
Yeah, right.
he
I was
needs
about
it.
to say,
Yeah, he
knock
needs
on
it.
wood, man. For how good
He
that guy
needs
is
it.
in the octagon, man. So they just need to give that guy his own like gated community and just keep him inside there. Give him everything he needs just so he can stay out of trouble, man.
Well, I think he's doing a smart thing too. He has been pretty much locked down in Arizona with Henry Cejudo. He got out of New Mexico, isn't
I thought he was
partying out
training in
Vegas
Colorado.
No, he's training in Arizona, fight ready with Cejudo. But or at least that's like one of his main two camps. He's also I don't know the full story. A different Jackson Wink affiliate or something. He's able to still train. Long story, but I hope we see John Jones return to the sport in the next year. He looked like he's been taking his training serious and everything I've seen.
I want to see if he can actually fight at heavyweight.
I do too. Yeah.
And Stipe's the fight to see it, especially with Ngannou injured. So it's the fight to make. It already was the fight to make, in my opinion, before they ran back the Ngannou thing. I know Ngannou was well deserving because of everything he had done and knocked out so many people in line, but the intrigue was so much more in my favor to see Stipe, the quote unquote greatest, versus the other greatest in the division below him, who has now made the move up.
I'm all for that fight. I feel like that's as good a gauge as any to see if John Jones deserves a title shot. And hot damn it, they need to put some fucking respect on Stipe's name.
Agreed.
Honestly, as much as I love Stipe and his fighting style and everything that he does in the cage, it's one of the more winnable fights, in my opinion, for John Jones at heavyweight.
Maybe so, but they need to put some fucking respect on Stipe's name, because how the hell is he not even in the conversation for a heavyweight title shot when we're talking about a guy who's the greatest fucking heavyweight of all time? Okay, so Ngannou beat him, but what the fuck?
Well,
you can't tell me that he's.
We also seen what he did to DC in his rematch with DC. So like who knows what we would be able to see.
My whole fucking point. How come Stipe doesn't get a fucking rematch? That's what I want to know. You win if you become the greatest heavyweight champion of all time. I feel like that entitles you to a rematch. But what the fuck do I know? The last thing that I got to talk about before we get out of here is that fucking A, dude. Like, Jamal Hill just keeps killing motherfuckers.
Hill did it, dude.
Man.
I just want to say I get super anxious and stuff for these guys we've had on the show. People I consider myself like big fans of. People from the state of Michigan. I always go hard for my boys from the Mitten State. I was nervous for this fight, man. When I seen the walkouts, I seen, Johnny Walker shaking his hips, getting all excited and shit. I'm like, man, he better not be dancing like that over my boy. And Jamal Hill, man, proved all the doubters like myself that any question of nervousness or anything like that, he didn't really get hit with anything other than that final sequence. Johnny Walker landed a punch as well, but you could just see that even with the size difference and the apparent strength difference and stuff like that, at least it looked the case. Man, Jamal Hill must just have fucking M80s in them gloves or something, dude, because he was just able to
Dude, the delayed reaction on that knockout was fucking insane.
Yeah.
It was.
He's the new UFC meme now.
Yeah, I seen a bunch of comparisons to the wacky inflatable arm man. I had posted to the show Twitter page that he's a young early front runner for knockout face of the year.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate if you're a fan of Johnny Walker. He looked good though until he didn't. He wasn't able to really land anything, but he was precise. He was landing.
Here's the question though. What
head kicks were wicked.
Before we talk about what's next for Jamal Hill, I mean, how many more times can Johnny fucking Walker lose?
Depends on how the UFC views it, right? Because it honestly, what I feel like is it depends on how the UFC views Jamal Hill. If they view that as a fight where they thought that Johnny Walker was going to be able to bounce back and this was like the fight to get him back, or if they thought that they were putting him up against somebody that maybe I think that's what kind of plays into his matchmaking, but I think he definitely has a style and the size and everything, technique and everything included to win some fights still in the UFC. Maybe not in that top 5 right now because of where he's at.
I would
maybe
almost
mentally
argue
and
that he's pretty
emotionally,
much
but
lost. He's already pretty much like lost his aura as like a top fighter at this
yeah,
point. Is he somebody that people are going to still want to see fight? Yeah, maybe so. But I mean, if that guy's not on the chopping block soon, like, I mean, I'm not saying I want anybody to like lose their job, but I'm just saying facts are
Yeah.
facts. If you
I mean,
haven't cut Johnny Walker, but yet you cut Justin James the way you did after his last fight, when you could argue that he won that fight.
mhm.
I'm just saying, at a certain point, bro, like you either got to win. Fighting is a sport of winning. You either got to win or you got to be entertaining. And you weren't
True.
entertaining and you didn't win.
And you didn't win.
So I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but I mean, look, he's gonna have to do something.
He did have the entertainment factor. I'm not a lady, but he I'm sure he had a couple women interested in that fight a little extra for the main event.
Sure, not
He's
saying he
got the
didn't, but
entertainment
like
factor. He
that's
does
a question
well on
too.
social
Like,
media and stuff like that. But to your point, he's just got to be a little more precise in these fights. It was
does
he
it
looked
not seem
really
like he
good
doesn't
until
take
he
this shit
didn't.
serious?
Hey, I was
Because
saying that over the weekend because, dude, I
Dude, that
follow
shit
him
that he
on
posted
Left
after
Arm
the
on
fight was over, like, I
Snapchat.
don't expect you to be all upset about it, but like, he almost didn't even give a fuck that he got
Yeah.
knocked the fuck
Well,
out
I
in
was
the
saying
main
that to
event.
my buddy. I said, dude, that for a guy that has a fight coming up on that particular weekend, he sure was posting a lot of Snapchats and new TikTok videos and all this comedy stuff. Like, I mean, either the dude's super relaxed and confident or he's just not focused, man. So I don't know, man. Maybe he's into more of the entertainment value than actually throwing some
Well,
hands.
fuck, you can have all
I
the
mean,
entertainment value you want, but if you keep getting knocked out,
you look at the shape he came in though. I don't think he's not necessarily taking training or
Yeah.
something serious or something along those
well,
lines.
something's not right. Whether SBG isn't the fit for him or what, he's not.
And like I had started to note though, I feel as though he was, if it wasn't Jamal Hill with that firecracker power and his great defense and his ability to read shots before they were even like really within the danger zone, I feel as though he could have done really well in that fight. And those head kicks that he was whipping out there, the leg kicks,
But what do we
his
always say
ability to
about
go
fights,
low
though,
then
bro?
go
Like,
high, and
woulda, shoulda, coulda is the same as fucking
I
horseshoes.
I
Like,
know,
I
but
mean,
you see that there's still
potential
the
only gets you so
semblance,
fucking far. At a certain point, you got to cash in on that fucking potential, or you ain't doing shit.
Yeah. Would I, to your point, Kyle, would I be surprised if the UFC was like that? That
They
was it.
probably might give him. I think they
You're
give
on a
him one
3
more
or a
fight and
4
tell him
fight
either you
losing
got to
streak.
look. I feel
Yeah.
like they give him one more fight and say either you got to look spectacular or you got to win impressive fashion, or it's not going to be good. Because
Yeah.
whether the guy's got a name or not, put it this way: if those motherfuckers could let Matt Riddle go when he was on a 2-fight win streak, they can let Johnny fucking Walker go. So I'm just saying, shout out to Sweet Dreams Nation in this bitch. The
Wait, who do
last
you guys
thing
want to see him fight next? Before
I
we
was just
go
about to
on?
say, we'll end on that. There's been some shit about him and Volkan Ozdemir. Like, okay, on one hand, okay, let Jamal go knock his ass out because he's talking shit, but I feel like we're kind of getting to the point with Jamal where say he fights this Ozdemir fight. If he wins this fight, he needs to either get a step up contender or what? Because I feel like all these guys that are kind of at that cusp, I don't really see any of them really fucking with him. So I think maybe we see him fight Ozdemir next. And then if he wins that one, they're going to have to give him a bigger name. Like, I just kind of see that's how that's going to play out.
I want to see him fight Reyes next. Dominic Reyes.
That's
what I'd like to see.
I got so many guys, right, that I'm fans of at the 205 division. Dominic Reyes being one, Anthony Smith being another, and a lot of those names are being thrown in the mix. That's why I'm so glad. That's why I'm so glad the Volkan Ozdemir stepped up to the plate and said, "I'll take the pitch." Like
he was talking his shit on Twitter.
He called him out on social media saying, "I'm still sleeping on him. I'm not impressed." Basically, I like that matchup. I feel as though that's a great one, especially for Jamal Hill to be able to showcase his skills because Volkan Ozdemir has incredible power. He is very skilled, but one thing he's not is the most quick or technical. He's just, he lands with hard shots when he is able to like out muscle people. And I don't think that would be the case because Jamal's got a size advantage. He's significantly taller and stuff. So I feel as though that would be a great match with the striking prowess that we were able to see Jamal put on.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I feel like this is a money matchup for Sweet Dreams. I think, it's going to be money. He's going to get him another knockout, and then who knows? Maybe he'll go cash in with G3 tax, just like you guys should. So until next time on Thursday, man, we told you there's big guests coming this week. If you paid attention this week, he was part of an 8-man tag tonight on AEW Dark. He also is your new Thrash Zone champion of Sanctuary Fight Club. We've got Karam. We'll just go with Karam, but we've got Karam coming this Thursday, another member of DTA. Like I said, I am excited to talk with Karam here because it's been a while since he's been on here. There's a lot of things to talk about with him, not only whatever he's got going on WrestleMania weekend, but like I said, he's been showing up at AEW. So I'd love to hear his thoughts on what some of the vibes are around AEW and all that kind of good stuff. So plenty to talk about this Thursday. Like I said, next week we're going to be joined by Joel Bateman from Australia, as well as TZ Scott before the AEW Fan Fest next Friday. So there's plenty of good shit coming your way. Knockouts and 3 counts.
I got one prediction before we get off here, and that is that David Onama within the next year and a half makes it to the top 10 of the 155 division. Or 145 division, my mistake. He looked incredible against Gabriel Benitez on Saturday and was able to basically just leave him in a total slump. And shout out David Onama, top 10 in the next year.
All right. Well, make sure you keep an eye on David Oyama. Like I said, make sure you are here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button, the comment button, the share button, all the buttons. Hit the buttons, even the big bright red one that I'm about to hit that's going to end this broadcast. So make sure that you guys check us out. Next Thursday, not next Thursday, this Thursday, we'll be in the fucking building. We'll talk a little bit more about mine and Devin's plans for WrestleMania week. There's already a lot of good shit coming down on the way to Texas. And if you're going to be in the Dallas area, make sure you say what's up to your boys. I'm going to Whataburger. See us on Thursday.